Shalom. Call Haloyamla, Yahapwa, Bahasham, Yahapashai, Bahasham, Rachakodash. Barakta Yahapwa, Barakta Yahapashai, Barakta Rachakodash, Bahasham, Yahapashai, Bahasham, Rachakodash. Shalom. And to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, Shalom to the elders in the Akim and the Akwat of the hopeful elect. Shalom. I want to go to a quick video entitled Esau, the righteousness and peace pollutant of the earth. And we know the Edomites, the children of Esau, is a so-called white race. So we know that everything they do is anti-Messiah, is first and foremost, it's anti-Most High Power Yahweh and anti-Messiah Yahweh Shai. It's all of Satan. And the earth cannot rest. Even the literal earth cannot rest. And then, mankind, animal kind cannot rest until Esau Edom is removed from rulership. So what is righteousness? A verse I like to bring out a lot because, people, they speak about righteousness and doing the right thing, but then they don't have the proper understanding of the definition of righteousness, right? Chiefly in Christianity. So Romans 10:5, for Moses describeth the righteousness which is of the law, that the man which doeth those things shall live by them. So if you're not living by the commandments, which is righteousness, then you're actually dying. Not because we're dying every day in the flesh, but you're dying spiritually as well when you're not keeping the commandments. So from there we'll go to Romans 12:1. But I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, which is your reasonable service. So holy goes into being separate from what? Uncleanness and wickedness, and being separate unto the Most High, through Yahweh Shai. Verse 2. And be not conformed to this world. So be separate from this wicked world that's run by Satan, by the so-called white race, the physical, manifestation of the spiritual demon Satan. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's that spiritual mind, killing the old man, becoming that new man, that new creature, under Yahweh Shai, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. So the only thing that's good is the commandments from the Most High. So your sacrifice, a living sacrifice, meaning every day we're sacrificing that old man, because that old man, every day, you wake up, that old man is vibrant and refreshed and rejuvenated, ready to try to fulfill fleshly and lustful things, right? And then so that's why you every day, daily living sacrifice, you sacrificing that old man every day, killing that old man daily. Because he always try to rise up, kind of like the horror movie, Michael Myers, he always rise up. You take him down, right? And he rise right back up. So that's the old man, basically, which is of death, So we're killing that old man every day through the power and spirit of Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. So we're not being conformed to this world. And we know that everything that's pushed in this society, is pure wickedness. And so we know, and we'll go ahead and get what is good. Romans 7:12. Wherefore the law is holy, is separate from the world, and the commandment holy, and just and good. So we just went into the Apostle Paul was telling the lost sheep that was living as the lost sheep, the Israelites that were living as Romans in Romans 12:2. What is holy and good and acceptable, and the law is holy, and the commandments is holy and just and good. So that's the only thing. If you're not doing that, then you're unholy and you're bad and you're evil and wicked and will be reserved until the day of judgment, which is the second death by the thermonuclear fire, which is also will be known as the lake of fire. From there, we'll go to Habakkuk, because we know Esau Edom, that's all he pushes, right? The wickedness and materialistic things and appease to the old man, the flesh. And so we must fight his devices, the devices of the wicked that want to make everyone strive for his society, which is a carnal base and not spiritual. So Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 4. Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him. And what does that mean, being lifted up? That goes into pride. He's the most proud of the earth. He's the proud. Everything is serving with pride, proudly, proudly established since 1850. Their businesses, everything is serving. I mean, everything is about pride, right? But the just shall live by his faith. So when the Most High gave the Israelites the commandments in the wilderness, that made them the just nation. So, and only a remnant in these days will be just by keeping the commandments to the best of their ability and having the faith of Yahweh. But the just, is of justness, goes into, the commandments. But the faith in Yahweh and Yahweh is the first and foremost blueprint in these last days, because we have to believe upon Yahweh to receive his blood covering to cleanse us as we rehearse the righteous acts of the commandments to be accepted by the Most High, to be blessed with salvation, right? So, and we know Esau Edom pushes nothing of the Messiah. He's anti the so-called white man. Esau Edom is the anti-Messiah of the earth. He's the anti-Messiah, but their nation is anti-Messianic, anti-Messiah because of their actions, which is of Satan. Just to something as simple as, everything they love, everything. Most restaurants, their most forefront, their most pushed meals is what? Unclean meals, pork based meals, or unclean fish, catfish, or shrimp, crab, and lobsters, which are the bottom feeder scavengers of the earth, of the ocean. That is basically the janitors of the sea, which cleans up the filth and keeps the ocean clean. And they're the bottom feeders, and they're unclean sea creatures. But everything is pushed here that's unclean of the water and on land. The pigs, and then the scavengers of the sea. So lucky for this noise in the background. Let me try to pull this window down. All right, here we go. Okay, so verse 5. For also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. So we know he's the most proud man on the earth. Neither keepeth at home. And how does he not keep at home? He's not within his borders, because the Most High divided into all the nations their inheritance. Let's get that real quick. Deuteronomy 32:8. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he, that goes into every nation's having their own land. When he separated the sons of Adam, he set the boundaries of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. So everything revolves around the Israelites, and then all the other heathen nations get what's left over. And the land that flow with milk and honey is the choicest, chiefest, best pit, aka best land on the earth. But just show you, you're not supposed to, it's like when you play basketball, right, or football. In sports, you have inbounds and out of bounds. So when the Most High give us our own land, you live within that bounds. You're inbounds in your own land, in your homeland, right? But then when you go out of that boundary of your homeland, then now you're operating out of that bounds, and now you're what? You're not keeping at home. So that's what the Esau Edomites do everywhere. Everywhere you go, there's so-called white people calling themselves a different name in different lands, because they're not keeping at home in their original land the Most High gave them. So that's how this is talking about Esau Edom. No other nation is in everybody land, taking their land and living in their land, creating a new nationality like the so-called white race. No other nation does that but Esau Edom, the white race, so-called. So neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, because we know when you don't keep the commandments, you're not living, but you're dying, and you're in death. And cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. So that's Babylon the Great. Because Babylon, the root word is Babel. Babel means confusion. So great confusion when you heap a bunch of people. Let's say you get a whole bunch of children, mix them up with your children, and then they're all going to have it's going to be a very confusing situation, and to all the children of the earth, it's all together, absorbing each other's philosophies and becoming one, and it's a very confusing thing because you don't know who you know. You lose all of your traits of your nation and your nationhood and your people, your culture. So that's what happened over here in Babylon the Great. Everyone's living after the American way, which is the Great Babylonian way, times 1,000 under Esau Edom. So from there we go to Genesis 27 and verse 40. Let's see. Okay. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. So the elder shall serve the younger. Esau came out first, and Jacob is his younger twin, so he's going to serve the Israelites, the so-called Black Latinos, Native Americans, in the kingdom of heaven forever to come. But right here is showing you that his rulership is first, because by thy sword. So Esau, this is his blessing that Isaac gave Esau. So by the sword, so by weapon, by military might, by weapons, Esau was going to live, and he's always in wars. He's always fighting, and that's how that's a key characteristic of Esau Edom today, because you would look at the nation that lives by the sword. And they're going to, that phrase, live by the sword, die by the sword. So he's living by the sword. That's the only way he can live. That's the only way he can have this rulership, is by what? Always fighting, always creating a narrative, of a guilty narrative against the person he's trying to take over, right? And overcome. And then give him an excuse. He prescribes his own wicked excuses to go and, live by his sword. Because that's the only way he can survive, is by that sword. And he has to create lies to be able to, he's the father of lies, so he has to create lies to go into war, to continue to rule over people, because he can't rule anywhere else, because righteousness is not his nature, wickedness is his nature, and we know wickedness is only temporary. So if you live by the sword, then when this happens, there's no place for him in the world to come. Isaiah 2 and 4. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares. So what's those swords? Weapons. Why are the nations having weapons? Because the chief heathen that only live by the sword, Esau Edom, he's the head of the swords. He's the head of military might. So the other nations gotta clip up as well, right? They gotta weapon up and try to catch up to the wickedness of Esau, to try to defend, because it's basically self-defense. And they're trying to learn war to try to close the gap and try to overcome, so that they can survive against this cave beast that only wants to kill, steal, and destroy, which is the Edomites, so-called white race. And so the Most High is saying he's going to, when Yahushua returns and set everything straight, he's going to take those heathen nations' weapons and beat them into plowshares, which is what? Agriculture, farming tools, which is a peaceable way of and means of living. And their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. So if there's not going to be any more war in the kingdom of heaven forever, for eternity, then guess what? And Esau Edom only knows the sword and only can live by the sword. If the sword be removed from the earth, that means, and his hands is attached to the sword, he'll never let it go, then he's going to be removed from the earth as well, along with that sword. He's going to get beat down, like those swords going to get beat down, because he's synonymous with the sword. Because he has a weapon, he has a sword, which is a modern day gun, and he is the sword, he is the weapon of the earth. Because his grandfather Cain, his name literally goes into a weapon. So he is the weapon of the earth to destroy other nations. He's the destroyer of the earth. So, so 1 + 1 = 2, meaning Esau, if the sword is going to be removed and he's the sword, then Esau for eternity will be removed, because it's not going to be any more war. He is the war nation on the earth. And if you remove the sword, he is the sword, and he is war, and war is going to be removed forever. 2 Thessalonians 2:7. For the mystery of iniquity doeth already work. So what's that mystery? That's the covering cast, the illusion of the American dream, and everyone drinking the wine of the whore's fornication, of transgressing by that wicked philosophy of Satan. And then they warring and killing people, but no matter how much they kill, people still can't see how much of a demon this man has been, but they're starting to see now in the last days. For the mystery of iniquity doeth already work. Only he who now letteth will let. The Most High Power is letting this occur until he be taken out of the way. So he's going to be taken out of the way when what? When the Most High, through his right arm, Yahushua, beats the swords of the heathen nations into plowshares. And then that beating is going to be, carnal weapons, and then also the carnal man of the earth, Esau Edom, being removed. If righteousness is going to exist for eternity, wickedness cannot exist. And so weapons and war and the man of war, the man, the wicked man of murder and unjust murder and unjust war is Esau Edom. He will have to be removed as well. He has to be. It's just simple math, Let's see. Did I read the whole verse? Yeah. And so, because all he does is he's the nation of war, Esau Edom, the white race, so-called, and everything he pushes, he's only desirous of hell. He glorifies death. How? Through skull and bones fraternity that he has. The so-called presidents, they go through that in college. They had this fraternity, skull and bones. There's even a movie about it, showing how they covered up a death and everything. It was a very mild movie, but it's a micro level of the worldwide destruction that he does, and he puts that covering cast over the whole earth to hide all of his wickedness. And then he has the music is what, heavy metal, and then it turned into what, death metal. He took over hip hop, and now and basically it's death hop, right? And so everything he does, anytime Esau Edom, the so-called white man, puts his hands on anything, it immediately deteriorates into evil, filthiness, and wickedness. And now this death hip hop music has greatly polluted our younger brothers and sisters' minds until, they all look bugged out, and they look like demons with the hairdos and the different colors and all the tattoos on their face now. And that's a commonplace thing now, That's because they're greatly influenced by the man that runs the hip hop industry, the death hip hop industry, the Little Hats, which pushes this filthiness upon our people. His desire is death and hell, and he's going to be killed and destroyed for that, right? Thus saith the Lord. Hebrews 12:16. Lest there be any fornicator, a spiritual fornication, or profane person. Was profane? Transgression and offense of that which is holy, which is the Most High Power, Yahweh and Yahushua and HaKodash, the Holy Spirit. As Esau, so if there's a profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. He despised his birthright, and he sold it for some blood-soaked pottage stew that wasn't yet finished cooking by his brother Jacob. Verse 17, for ye know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, so after he sold his birthright to Jacob in Isaac's last days, Isaac told Jacob to come here. Told Esau to come here so he can get that blessing, receive that firstborn's blessing. But then that's when he was going to inherit it. But Jacob came in, swooped in through his mom Rebekah's help, and supplanted Esau. But it was supposed to happen from the beginning. So it wasn't nothing wicked. But the Most High, he's the ultimate, director, and he wanted some drama, for entertainment, and that's what he did. Is there unrighteousness in the Most High? Absolutely not. So he would have inherited the blessing. He was rejected. So Esau, he wanted to get that blessing, but it was gone and he got rejected. For he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears. See, Esau, he sold the birthright, he despised it. And then when he lost it, then he wants to start crying, because he lives in the moment. He doesn't think about the future. And then once the future come and that bill is due, then he wants to bellyache and cry and moan and whine and complain that he can't handle it, and as if he's been done wrong, when he's only done wrong. And when he received proper recompense and proper reward, then he cries and act like he's been done wrong. That's the ultimate hypocrite. That's why the scripture, most I said, the joy of the hypocrite is but for a moment. He's an evil, wicked, a bastard, basically. So, it's okay. Let's continue reading. So we'll go to 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, and verse 16. 2nd Ezra 13 and 16. For as I conceive in mine understanding, woe unto them that shall be left in those days. Oh, Salak, that's not the verse. 3. Noise in the back. Right, so 2nd Ezra chapter 3 and verse 16. Unto him thou gavest Isaac, and unto Isaac also thou gavest Jacob and Esau. That was the twins, the Israelites and the Edomites. Esau, the Edomite, so-called white race. Jacob, Israel, the so-called Black Latinos, Native American Indians. As for Jacob, thou didst choose him to thee. So the Most High chose the Israelites. So it wasn't, an unrighteous thing that Jacob got the blessing, because it was supposed to happen from the beginning. And put by Esau. So put by is an old, archaic, and old ancient phrase, which means reject. And put them, you put them, you see a bunch of children, you grab some children, and you put them to your left side. You put them out the way. You don't want them, but you get your child, your bloodline child, and put them next to you on your right side, right? So that's what the Most High did to Jacob, put him on the right side, and rejected, put Esau by the wayside. And so Jacob became a great multitude. So Esau, he's going to be put by forever when the Messiah returns, after they served their captivity for 1,000 years and then received their punishment. Jeremiah 50 and 23. and 23. How was the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? So it's going, see, because he's the weapon of the earth, and he's the hammer of the earth. So how is he cut asunder and broken? So asunder meaning, cut down, and broken. How was Babylon become a desolation among the nations? So that's Esau, Edom. He's going to be cut and broken down. He's going to be brought down. He's going to be cut asunder. And that goes into Isaiah 47. Let me see if I can find it. Okay. Isaiah 47 and verse, that's Ezekiel. Isaiah, come on. Verse 1. Come down and sit in the dust. That's that the hammer being cut asunder, being brought down. When you cut asunder, you breaking it down. And so when you sit in the dust, that means you was up high and you sit down now in the ground, in the dust. O virgin daughter of Babylon, sit on the ground. There is no throne. That's the hammer, the Babylon the Great, the hammer of the earth, being cut down. When the Messiah, when Yahweh sends Yahweh Shai to return, sit on the ground. There is no throne. O daughter of the Chaldeans, and that goes into their witchcraft and sorcery through the media and Hollywood. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Everyone, all the nations were being heaped over here. Everyone raced over here and smuggled on boats and stuffed themselves in the in the boats and to come over here to live the American dream. But now they're no, because America for a season has been called tender and delicate, but not anymore. So that's the hammer of the earth being cut asunder and broken into pieces. So from there, Psalm 17 and 13. Arise, O Lord, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my, that's that, going to that hammer being cut asunder and broken in pieces, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword, and the wicked of the earth is, or the Edomites, so-called white race. That's the sword of the Most High, because the Most High is using them right now for a season to judge people throughout the earth, and chiefly Esau Edom is the main sword, is the chastening rod of the Most High. He uses the Edomites, so-called white race, to chasten us, and he's chastening us mightily underneath the cave beast Esau Edom, allowing us to be oppressed and destroyed right now. But the Most High has having that eternal mercy and remembering that promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to awaken us in these last days. To preserve the Israelites through the remnant, 1/3 house of David body of Yahushua. So Lord willing, we are of that number of the 1/3. So Esau, he's the righteousness and peace pollutant of the earth. And as we see, he will be removed forever for eternity. And we're crying out, and Lord willing, here soon, according to the prophecies, we can go ahead and enjoy perpetual peace and be blessed with that salvation. So with that being said, hope this video was edifying. The water to the Rachak Wadash for another video. Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Till the next video, I say, Shalom.